If you're like me, it's been a while since you've been in school. Things have changed a great deal in school. There is a marked effort to upgrade our academic standards, and there is a marked effort to point children in that direction at a younger and younger age in order to stay competitive in the global market. What do we gain and what do we lose by that? Well, it depends on who you talk to. And this morning we're talking with Jessica Clayton, who is one of the newest members of the Brick Township Board of Education. She's a certified teacher, and she is the family child care provider at Riverside Rhymes and Nature Play School. She's helping develop young minds on their way into grade school. She's been doing this for the better part of a decade now. And she has some fresh ideas that she wants to bring to the Brick Township Board of Ed, and maybe further than that. And it all starts with play. Your idea here is that we're losing a valuable component of freedom within the context of the necessities. And how did that happen?
Well, with, like you said, with academics getting pushed further and further down to early childhood, we took out the things that we deemed were unnecessary, like play, recess, and what the studies prove, peer-reviewed studies prove, is that those are really important components to the day. Play is necessary for learning, it's necessary for our social, academic, physical skills, and as it gets pushed out of early childhood education, the children who are ones who are losing.
You're dealing with basically preschoolers. Are you seeing it at that level?
Yes, absolutely. And during preschool classrooms, not in my school, but in schools across the country, what we're doing is, even in programs that market themselves as play-based programs, we're limiting how children play and how long they play. For example, they might say, we have a classroom, it's set up with centers, but in the center time, what they do is they say, you only have 15 minutes to play in the block area, and then when the bell rings, you need to move to the writing center. And they do this because they're really trying to make sure that the kids get the things that they learn in the blocks, which is mathematics and gross motor and fine motor skills, and then they move to the writing center and make sure that they get that practice of pre-writing. But what happens is that children naturally do this. If you give them open-ended time to explore the classroom, they'll naturally gravitate towards the blocks. But after a while, they'll learn what they need to from the blocks, and then they'll become more interested in the art center or the writing center. And we need to let children follow their natural impulses, because when we're constantly telling them what to do, the learning doesn't come from them and it doesn't stick. It doesn't get inside their brain. It doesn't stay there. It's just like a short-term memory thing. It's something that comes from outside. When learning comes from inside, and you can know this from when you choose to learn something as an adult, it is important to you and it stays with you. And the same thing happens with kids. When they choose to learn something, it stays with them. But when you tell them what to learn, it may stay with them in order to impress you and make you feel, that they're successful and make them feel like they're successful, but it may not move into their long-term memory.
Okay, so the question I have then is, a young mind still has so much to grasp. A young mind doesn't necessarily know whether it's going to actually want to continue what the path it's on. It needs that guidance. So where is the boundary line? Where do you separate letting them decide with helping them decide?
Well, it sort of depends on the age of the child, their developmental level, and what your goals are as a teacher. So if you're in, say, a kindergarten classroom, you want to make sure that you have some academic time. You, as a teacher, take some time to teach them some components of literacy, mathematics, whatever the curriculum guidelines are. However, what you need to do is then give them time to internalize that information, and you can do that during play, because play is really an expression of what children are learning whether they're social things, they may process grief through play, but academic things as well. So if you teach a math lesson and then you open it up to a free play session, the children will naturally begin, say, counting during their play in order to process those academic skills that you gave them. As the children get older, they need less and less time to, process, and more time, you can spend more time lecturing them, and it's still effective.
How would you divide that time up? How much time should be devoted to non-academic exercises?
Well, Finland, who is the #1 school, educational system in the world, has a really great program, which we don't do at all here in the United States, though there is a pilot program happening in Houston, Texas. And what they do is they took the information from neuroscientists that said that everyone can only process 45 minutes of time in taking information from a lecture, and then we need 15 minutes to move that information from short-term memory to long-term memory. So what the Finnish do is they do a 45-minute lesson and then they take a 15-minute break. And what they do in order to ensure that is they take a 15-minute outside break in the morning, an hour-long recess break in the middle of the day, and then a 15-minute break in the afternoon. So that the day is broken up with time to play and process and to, again, move that information from short-term memory into long-term memory.
What do you say to a parent who tells you, okay, I have my child in school to learn. There's time for play after that. They're going to soccer, they're going to ballet class, they're going to basketball, whatever it happens to be, and that's play. Mm-hmm. So how do you counter that?
Well, those examples would not be considered play in terms of what the real definition of play. Play comes from yourself. It comes from inside you, and it's chosen by the child. So if a ballet practice is just another lesson, it comes from a teacher. The teacher comes and they teach you how to do ballet. It's playful and it's fun and it's something that the child wants to do, but it's not play. Play is free. It belongs to you and you decide. It can be whatever you want it to be. It's not, and so if you want to get play into the day and you're saying, okay, so we're going to spend all day at school doing academics and after school we're playing, but we're not playing. Playing after school would look like going outside with your friends and playing in the backyard. That would be real play. Going to a ballet class is just taking an additional lesson, or soccer.
How would you incorporate non-structured play into a curriculum?
So that's pretty easy. People think of it as being hard, but really it takes, the teacher just needs to let go, spend some time in the classroom not lecturing the children and allowing them to interact with the materials that they have available without giving the children guidance. So all you have to do to incorporate play into the classroom is set up a room that has sensors so that the children can go to and visit them and experience whatever there are in those centers. You can set them up any way you want. You can have reading nooks with beanbag chairs. You can have a science table with an interesting, something that they're interested in, like perhaps like a mushroom stamp. It doesn't matter. All it matters is that you put something out there for them to interact with on their own without you telling them what to do with it.
And now, how do you present these ideas to the Brick Board of Education?
Well, I will be when I start on the curriculum committee and the policy committee, so I hope in those two aspects to be able to guide the curriculum and help write policies that ensure that children are not losing their recess as punishment, and to make sure that the play gets back into the curriculum for early childhood.
Are you prepared to defend these things for people who think that you're giving kids too much leeway? How do you defend against that?
Well, luckily science will back me up. I didn't come up with this on my own. I'm well studied. I've read lots of books about it. I have attended lots of professional development about it. And I can just bring the academics, the scientific research, pre-reviewed research, and say, listen, this is how children learn. we're dismissing it. We're dismissing all of this information, the scientific studies and research, and we're saying that academics is more important. But actually, this says that this is crucial to learning.
Have you spoken to other teachers about it?
Some students and teachers in the district, and lots of parents. Everyone seemed, I mean, I was elected, so I think that they seemed receptive to my message. I went to talk to them about it, and I told them exactly what I wanted. I wanted to make sure that recess was mandatory and that we had play in early childhood. And the votes came in, so I hope that means that they're behind me. Now, teachers, I think teachers would really benefit from letting children have playtime in the classroom. It would give them a chance to breathe, to watch the children, to observe them, to get them to know them better. I think it can only benefit everyone in the classroom.
If you want to know more about where she gets her ideas, visit Jessica Clayton's Facebook page, because there is article after article after article that all point in this direction. And once you start to really get into the weeds on it, you start to see where she's coming from. It's not something that she takes lightly, and it's not something that she came up with overnight. And it's all there on Facebook.
That's right.
Jessica Clayton is our guest, and she, once again, is the child care provider at Riverside Rhymes and Nature Play School. She's a mom, she's a certified teacher, and she's coming from a good place, and she wants to bring that to the Board of Education in Brick Township. Good luck in your new term.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming by.